Hello and welcome. In this video, we will design your first BPMN process using Camunda modular. We will deploy it from the modular and we'll create an instance from your task list and view the diagram from the cockpit. We will see all these things in this video. Okay, so I'm going to start by dragging the events here. This is the start. I'm going to add few tasks. Let's add only 2 tasks for now. And I'm going to put this. So from the outside, you can see I have added 4 nodes on this particular canvas. The first one is start. So to name it, again, double click it, or you can go to your properties panel and click on that particular node. You see that, okay? The event ID, it comes default. If you want to specifically do some event ID, you may choose to write it. Make sure it is unique. And then this one, let's configure it to an as user task, and let's say it is my first task. Okay, and then you see a double line one, which is opposed to different from the start event and the end event. It is like an intermediate, so it is between start and end, so it's an intermediate. And this one you can configure into multiple ones. So to keep it simple, and because we haven't touched our events yet, I'm going to keep it simple and make this as a timer event. And the timer event takes some time, right? That's what it is all about. So let's put some duration to it. The duration can be kept in the form of PT, which is period time, and then how many hours, minutes, seconds you wish. So I'm going to put period time 1 minute. And if you put r/, that means you're saying repeat this timer as many times, right? It will repeat forever. So this repeat time will be useful when you're placing this event on top of any other task. Say for example, you place this on top of another task, then it's called boundary event, right? Because it is on the boundary of another task. And then if you want to repeat that particular, let's say this is a timer again, you see that when I click on that spanner icon, I see all the different things I can do with that event. And let's say this is timer, and if you want to repeat this particular timer from here, so it will repeat n number of times. I say repeat, and then period time, and it should be all caps, repeat and period time. Let's say for every 10 minutes, please repeat this timer till this task is active. So this scope of this timer is only till this task is active. Once my first task is completed, this timer will not execute or repeat. So if you want to use a repeat in your processes and your timer, then you will choose that on the boundary events. Let's keep it simple for this. I'm going to say that please repeat this particular, please use this timer of 1 minute. So why am I doing this? Because in Camunda Community Edition, you cannot see a task which is in active instance unless there is some waiting or some event is happening to it. So it will just be discarded from your display, UI display. So for you to see that the task is still active and to see the process view, I have kept a timer. So I have kept it like, let's put it as 2 minutes timer just for safety. And we are saying that this form, once completed, this process will wait for 2 minutes and then it ends. As usual, let's color code this so that it will be visually appealing for us. Let me put it end, and our user task will be of blue color. And because this is an event, let's make it as yellow just to differentiate. Okay, or you may choose to use some other color. Okay, for this process, let's keep it simple, and I'm going to do this. So again, you will do it as end, and you may say that this is 2 minute timer. And in your first task, you need some elements in your task, right? So Camunda doesn't provide you a form editor, right, in your modular. However, it allows you to give you basic inputs. So for example, if your form wants a certain text inputs or user has to input certain things, then you may give them as this, like this. So if you go here and click on this plus icon, I clicked on this task, went to the form section. So general section is where you define what is it all, everything. And in the form section, you can give the elements. I click here. So once I click on the plus icon, it gave me some ID and is giving me some thing to do here, right? Let me put it as a string type. And to keep it simple, I will ask what is the username. And let's say if user doesn't enter anything, we will give some default value. This is not mandatory. Just to avoid any issues in your process, you'll give some defaults, okay? And you may choose to add multiple form elements as well. So you can add other one, and let's say we will ask his age, right? And let's finish that. And then once you click on this task, you have something called assignee. So here you may provide certain names. So because we are using demo account, I'm going to assign that to demo. What happens is that once your process got started, the first task will be assigned to this particular user named demo. If you don't give it, then you have to explicitly acquire it from your UI designer, from your UI, right? And then you will be able to complete it. Okay. With that said, let's save this. So once you click on save button, it asks you to save somewhere. So let's say I want to put it here, and let me name it as my first process, right? I'm going to click save. So now that it's saved, the next thing you need to do is, while you're deploying it, it asks for a name. It is always best idea to give a proper name for you to easily identify it. So let's say the same thing here, my first name. So the IDs doesn't take spaces. So if you want to give space, maybe you can use underscore or something like that. And the name of the process can be with spaces, right? And then you need to choose one more thing, which is executable. What you're saying to this particular Camunda engine that when I run this process, make sure that this is an executable process and it can be executed from your task list. In case if you don't put this as executable, what does this mean is that you will not be able to start the process from your UI. However, this can be useful when we are using something called parent process and child processes, which we're going to talk when we use call activities. So in that case, if you always want your child process to be invoked by your parent process and not from your UI page, then you will choose executable as false. So for this, because this is a simple process, we will keep it simple and saying that give us the ability to execute this from the web page. So if I quickly check this particular thing in the XML, so you can update that here. You see the first line in the tree says is executable true. So these are all this metadata in your BTMN that makes that your engine reads it and based on that configures your process. Right. With that said, let's see. Let me copy this particular name. And before you deploy, make sure your Tomcat Camunda is running. Okay. I'm going to click on this deploy current diagram. When I click here, it gives me like this. Here you may choose your deployment name to be anything, and your endpoints will be this. In the next video, I'll show you how your Camunda modular is able to communicate with the engine and deploy using this particular REST endpoints. So this REST endpoint is one of the many public APIs that Camunda provides for your for you to externally communicate with the engine. Right? It has this particular endpoint. Okay, I'm gonna deploy it, and it says deployment successful. In case you are seeing any errors, you will see something in the bottom log file, and here you can copy that and you can view that particular log. If not, you can also go to the server, Tomcat running server, and here you should see that particular error coming up. Now that it is deployed, let's go to our cockpit here. So the way you come is you just log out and you click demo and demo, Once you log in, it takes you to the Camunda cockpit, and here in the definition section you will see your process. So let me search with it. It's my first process, right, which is this one, right? When I click on this will give me a diagrammatic representation of our process. So at this point there are no instances, okay? And if I go to the more and deployment section, here is our process that is deployed. So it says this is the time deployed. So this is our latest one. And I go to the processes, I click here, but you will not see anything. Okay. Now for you to start this, you have to go to your task list and do it. So let me do that. I click on home, I click task list, I do control click so that it opens in a new tab, which is this one. So from here in the task list, this is where your users will interact with your processes for them to start or to complete any user tasks. So at this point, you are not seeing any instances here, right? So let me first start it. Click start. And here, if you have multiple processes, you can search it. But because it is your first process, for you, it should be only one, right? I'm going to search it and it resulted me with this one. So I'm going to click it. So this is your instantiation form or your like basic form prior to start of your process. So here you have few abilities, right? First thing is you may provide a business key. A business key is like a unique key for you to identify your instance. So once you install many processes in your Camunda, right? How do you differentiate between one instance from other instances? Right? If you want to identify it using some unique key, then you may define it. So let's say it is my first process. Okay. Let's say it is my first process, something like that, so that you can identify everything with this. Generally, it is like an identifier, so make sure that you are not using spaces. And additionally, if you want to add any variables, you can add it, right? Once you type like name and then you variable type string and then do that, you can do that. So these are all done before your process has started. So these are like basic data. If your process needs something, then you may do that. For our process, we don't need it. So I'm gonna just click start. So once I start this, I click on this particular my tasks and I should see, I click on all tasks and I should see my task coming up here. In case if you have defined your user profile in admin, you can see their task. So for example, there is some user called John, and if you want to see all the tasks related to John, you can see it here. At this point, there are nothing. Okay, so I click on all tasks and here is my first task coming up. Right, seems like I have made some error. The naming. Let me just correct it quickly so that I can provide you this one properly. So the save here does not reflect here unless you deploy it again, right? Once I click this my first task, this is what it popped up, and you also see that it also gave a default name, default value which we have added. Let's say I want to add it, and let's say I am around 25 or something like that. You can take it. So here it is saying that it is all automatically assigned to demo user. In case it is not there, and if you forget to do that, you can claim it. So I just removed it. Now I don't have access. It's a read-only one. So typically, if you did not add that particular assignee here on the task, you will see like this. The task comes up, but you cannot do much. So all the way you can do is click on claim and it assigns to you. So you can quickly see the diagram as well. So where it is right now. So you see start and it is on your task right now. So still we are in the task list. Okay. As far as we know that we have instantiated a task. Let's see if the cockpit is reflecting it or not. At this point, you're not seeing anything. You can just refresh it quickly. So I quickly refresh it and you see that it is a running instance of 1 and this is the ID. So let me show you again. You might miss this again. So I go to definitions here. this is like an overall definition view. So if you have 100 instances, this will be your view, and you will see counter. If you have 100 instances, 100 process instances waiting on this task, you will see the counter as 100. But if you want to specifically go to your instance, then you may click here. You see this, the ID is very something which you cannot directly recognize it. So the quick way to do it is you will use your business key. You see that this is the use of your business key. If you have multiple instances, if you want to quickly search it, then you can just go here and you can search here in the criteria, and it says business key is my first key, and it brought only that. This way you can filter out quickly all your instances that are relevant to you. Okay, so let me go back to the task list again, and let me complete this. I click complete. Here we are not doing any validation, so whether I give it or not, it doesn't matter. I'm going to do it for now, and I'm going to click complete. So once that is done, now you cannot see anything here. Task list, you cannot view that particular view. The only way you can view that instance, if it is active, is from your cockpit. Again, I'm going to refresh it one more time, and now you see that it has went to the timer. So the instance is active, that is why you are able to see this. If not, this will not be even seen to you, because the community edition is not giving you that opportunity to view your completed or history of instances. That is a feature you will see in the advanced or the performance edition of your Camunda. Okay. With that said, after 2 minutes, this instance will complete. So in this way, you can design your small process from in your Camunda modeler and directly publish it from here. Before I finish this, I want to talk a bit about version tags. So there's something called versions. So you can have multiple versions of your process, right? I'm saying this is version 1.0. In the next video, when we are talking about how to deploy your process into your engine using a REST APIs, then I will use version 1.1. Then we will see how it looks in the modular, as well as how it looks in your cockpit and your task list. You will see that. Okay, so the versioning tag is useful for you to differentiate between different versions of your process. And if you want to quickly move from one version to other version, which is again a feature of your performance edition of Camunda BPM, then you can use the tagging. Now, tagging is very important for you to keep track of your changes or major milestones in your business deployment of your process. With that said, I'll see you in the next video.